What is up, Lock Talk family? It's your boy, Jason, and I'm back for another NBA game day breakdown for February 24th. Let's talk about every single game on the board today. I'll break down the games to the best of my ability, and I'll give you guys my game opinions on whether it's a side total or even a player prop. But if you want to see me keep on coming up here and dropping these plays, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment for the YouTube algorithm. It only helps me get motivated to come up here every day and drop these plays. So before I do start, we had a great day yesterday in Premium. We had another winning week. I'll put some tickets up here, and we'll keep on smoking them, man. If you do want to join us, but you want to get in for a free week because all these videos are not enticing enough for you, all my breakdowns are not enticing enough for you, let me show you, in my opinion, the best way you can join us, and that's by getting on these new books, these new sportsbook affiliates and sportsbook partners that we do have. The best one, in my opinion, is NOVIG. Use code LOCK, LOCKO in capital letters, and you'll get a 50% off your first deposit bonus or your first deposit when signing up. And it's available in 42 states. So if you're in Florida, Texas, or California, you can use this book. I have a whole breakdown of this sports book and this book in general. So if you do want it, I put it in the pinned comment down below. But as we're on this video, they have the best lines in the industry, man. Better lines than FanDuel in a lot of cases. And one example I do want to show is, for example, let's say you want to bet the over. The over here on NOVIG is over 245.5 is minus 107 on FanDuel. It's minus 110. And this happens on a lot of different lines. Sometimes the line difference can be as big as 10 points. Even the line can be completely different. So if you want to bet the Nuggets, right, at minus 4.5 here on NOVIG, you'd have to do minus 5 on FanDuel. So again, man, I think it's a huge difference. It's a great benefit. It's a great way for you to line shop. And for the most part, because it's peer-to-peer, that's the big feature they do have. You're not paying juice. You're not paying that big commission that FanDuel and DraftKings make you do. But in any case, man, let's start talking about the games, man. Guys, please put a thumbs up. And let's go talk about the games that we do have here for today. And let's go smoke them, man. First game on the board is the Brooklyn Nets against the Wizards. Both teams have been bottom barrel teams, but they've actually been covering in certain situations and certain spots. I've been doing very well betting on both the Nets and the Wizards, was first quarter, first half bets, but all those stats and trends kind of go out the window because they're both playing each other, and now there's no big spreads. Usually both teams are big dogs when they're playing. Nets this season have been the best road team covering on the road. Don't listen to this. It's really based off this right here. At the spread when on the closing lines that they've had, they've been the best team. And the reason why recently has been they have the #1 defense in the NBA. I don't know what it's been. I don't know what spark that's been, but it's been very good. The big thing, though, in this game, in my opinion, is just the injuries. There's no D'Angelo Russell on the Nets side. And in the Wizards, it looks like they're going to get back Malcolm Brogdon. He's a huge piece off the bench. In this game, man, I mean, it's tough. I like D'Angelo Russell on this Nets team, but I think the Nets are actually the better team. I don't think this game should be a 3-point game. I think this game really should be pick-em game, even with the Wizards at home. I think it should be a minus 1.5 spread. So I do think there's some slight value with the Wizards, but I think the Nets defense, even their offensive production, has been a little bit better than the Wizards, and I think they get a W. If you want to bet money line on the Wizards, minus 140 for Brooklyn is not terrible, but again, I like minus 1.5. I think if you want to bet purely off like line value, I think there's some slight one with the Wizards, but then I do think the Nets win, and I think they have the capacity to win by 5 to 6 points. But yeah, I mean, that's where I would go. Not my favorite game on the board. Nets play a very, very slow pace too. Another reason why you might want to go with the dog, but I mean, we usually won't see lines for both these teams this low. It is what it is, but let's go to the next game, a game that's very interesting. We have the Clippers against the Detroit Pistons, and wow, look at this. All the bets and all the money on this site. It's not the only site you should look at for money line, for like money percentages, but Detroit Pistons, man, laying 1.5 points at home against the Clippers. And that's surprising, man, because usually, I mean, past years, you would think the Clippers would be the favorite always, but there are some injuries on the Clippers side. There is no Norman Powell or Kawhi Leonard. And according to this, man, I mean, Detroit will have Fontecchio possibly a game-time decision. That's pretty good, too. But I do think, you know, the Clippers are a better team. I think the Clippers have a better defense. They actually don't have a better offense, in my opinion. But the Pistons, like the Nets, have had a huge step up in their defense. and their offensive production has been very good, better than the Los Angeles Clippers, even over the season, 12th ranked versus 21st ranked. And I think the Pistons, rightfully so, are the favorite, man. I mean, they're finally getting the respect I've been saying they deserved all year long. And both teams are on a back-to-back. The Detroit Pistons, they played, let me see, hold on, my bad, hold on, let me pull this up. The Detroit Pistons played yesterday against the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta, they beat Atlanta. They didn't cover, I think, their original spread, but we have Detroit Pistons first half, so that was a winner. Clippers played on the road against the Pacers and got blown out by the Pacers, and now they're on a back-to-back. And so far on back-to-backs on the road, Clippers have actually done, they're 4 out of 6, well, 4-10 in their last 10 road games. Don't look at this spread. That's only based off the number right now. Pistons, however, at home on back-to-backs, they've been 50-50, but all games overall, they've been 50% covering, 30% losing, so they've had a positive record on back-to-backs. Look, but I think the spot definitely favors Detroit. I think Detroit's actually the better team. They have even the deeper bench. They have more offensive production, and their defense has been actually better than the Clippers over the last few games. And missing both Norman Powell and Kawhi, I think it's going to be tough for the Clippers to overcome. So in this game, in the short line, I'm going to take the Pistons, man. I'm going to roll with the public on this one. I think the Pistons are the better team, and they get the dub here. All right, guys, let's go. We have a few more games. Not a huge slate today, but let's talk about the next game. The Denver Nuggets against the Indiana Pacers. And this game should be a fire show, man, because both teams play at an incredible pace. Both teams don't play a super strong amount of defense, in my opinion. And the Pacers, their offensive production has really been stepping it up, man. As you saw yesterday, or you saw in my last game, they just beat the brakes off the Clippers. And the Nuggets, they're playing on a back-to-back as well, but they're traveling from, they're traveling from Denver to Indiana, and that's not the best place, in my opinion. I mean, going from the high elevation from Denver to another spot, even though they're from Denver, is never easy, man. Pacers, however, they got to stay at home. They're playing this back-to-back at home, and I'm just going to show you guys on a back-to-back so far, Denver Nuggets have actually been doing very good. 8 out of their 10 games, they've covered their original spreads, while the Pacers have been 3 out of 7, bro. Not as good. And this one's a little bit tougher for me. Look, I do like this Pacers team. I think this Pacers team can actually keep up with the Denver Nuggets. Denver Nuggets, they do a lot of transition baskets, a lot of transition ball, and the same thing with the Pacers here. I think this actually could be a very high-scoring game. So, in my opinion, I actually like the over a little bit more. I think this over is, pretty spot on. I think this line could have been maybe a little bit lower at 243. Obviously, this line has bumped up a little bit to 245.5. And right now, man, let's take a look at the over. This line actually opened up, at 5. It got jumped down to 244.5, and now it's back at 245. So, yeah, I think this game's going to be fast-paced. There's going to be a lot of scoring. Both teams will be able to make buckets in transition, and I think we can see a higher-scoring game. This is a great game for props, in my opinion. You're betting overs, or if you like betting overs. But in terms of where all the bets are at, everyone is with the Denver Nuggets. I like the Pacers in this game. I think the Pacers can get the job done. I think the Pacers can win outright even, especially being at home. I think it's a favorable spot for the Pacers, even with my back-to-back, showing of you for Denver. I think the Pacers actually match up pretty good. I think they have the size, they have the offensive efficiency, and they can keep up the pace with the Denver Nuggets. I don't know even if they don't win, I think 5.5 points is a little bit too much. This game's at 3.5, then I'll probably favor the Nuggets. But at 5.5 at home, getting almost a two possession difference, I think the Pacers are a good bet in this one. All right, guys, we have the next game right here. The Chicago Bulls against the Philadelphia 76ers. Philadelphia 76ers laying 4.5 points at home. And, bro, man, look, both teams have not been reliable at all. I mean, Philadelphia 76ers have not covered a game, bro. They've been losing outright and not covering anything. They lost outright to the Nets. It's 11-point favorites. And you might say they've been missing Embiid, but I actually think having Embiid in the game is worse. Right now, he's a game-time decision. If he doesn't play, I actually think it's a better bet for the Philadelphia 76ers if he does not play. On the Chicago side, they don't have any major injuries, but they've been playing okay, in my opinion. I mean, they kept the game pretty close against the Suns. They ended up losing outright, but I think they covered the original spread. They lost outright to the Nets to the Knicks, but they ended up covering that game as well. So in this game where the Chicago Bulls are 4.5 point dogs, I think they've been playing pretty competitive against better teams. I mean, the Sixers have had a horrible defense. Their offensive flow has been terrible, but it's really dependent on two things. Does Embiid play? If he plays, I actually think it's better for the Bulls. But if he doesn't play, maybe the Sixers have a chance to win because they were actually doing very, very well when Embiid was not playing. The other injury that is concerning, though, however, regardless if Embiid plays or not, is Maxey. If Maxey's out, then I really think the 76ers are impaired. So with all that being said, man, I do think I favor the Chicago Bulls actually in this game. Everyone looks to be all over the Philadelphia 76ers, but I think the Chicago Bulls, with all this upside, if Embiid plays, I know that sounds crazy, but if Embiid plays and Maxey's out, even if they all play, they could still lose to the Chicago team. Lose terrible, though. So I like the Chicago Bulls. I think they've been playing much, much better. They've been in a much better groove, and they've been covering against much tougher teams. So give me the 4.5 points with the Bulls. I'm going to fade the public on this one. I don't care if Embiid plays. I actually hope he plays because if he plays, for some reason, they've been playing worse. I just think he's not been in his flow. He's not 100%. And he's actually been more of a hindrance than helping them in his current state. All right, guys, we have, let's see, 4 more games left. So if you've been here with me this long, put a thumbs up, man. How about your favorite play on the board today, man? I really want to know what you guys like. But let's talk about this next game. The Miami Heat against the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks just played against my Pistons, man. Pistons beat them, won outright, covered that first half of the Miami Heat. They also played last night as well. They played the Milwaukee Bucks, lost outright, lost by 7 points, even with Giannis on restricted minutes. This game's a tough one, bro, because the Hawks, man, the Hawks have talent, but they traded a lot of guys. But I do not like this Hawks team. I do think there are some standouts like Dyson Daniels. I think Okongwu is going to be a great center. Even Rishisher, I think, is a really, really good small forward prospect. So I think this team will be great. But I actually think in this game, in a pick'em type spot, look, the best spot to bet the Atlanta Hawks have been with points at home. They actually did cover this original spread against Denver. So I don't know. I mean, against Detroit, I'm sorry. This game was a 6-point spread, I think, or maybe. No, actually, I'm sorry. It was a 3-point spread. So they didn't cover this game. I apologize. So they didn't cover this game. They got points here. Didn't cover. Miami, though, we'll see, bro. I mean, this game's a tough one for me. I think Miami has the better defense. Their offense has not been that great. So with their new lineup with Tyler Hero, Davion Mitchell, Andrew Wiggins, I think Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware can put some damage, especially Bam. So I do like Bam props. I don't think Gouye can cover Bam efficiently. But this game should be a faster-paced game. I think that bodes well for the Heat, who can possibly slow down with their defense. And I just don't think Atlanta's defensive pressure will be enough to, I guess, keep up with Miami's defense. So in this game, look, a lot of people are actually on the Hawks. I mean, the Hawks system plays really better when their dogs are at home. It hasn't worked out in the last 2 games, maybe third time's a charm. But I do think on a back-to-back, Miami's going to be in a better spot here. Both teams have been 50-50 on back-to-backs. But I think Miami, even with the travel on the road, again, I like this spot, man. I think the Miami are the better team, and they could win this game outright. I would look at props maybe with Dyson Daniels or Rishisher on the Hawks side, and then some props on the Heat side. I like Khalil Ware, Bam. But I'll also say this. Trae Young cannot cover Tyler Hero, so Tyler Hero can have another good game, but I do think Miami just has more options to dice up this Atlanta defense, who I think has been impaired since Jalen Johnson and DeAndre Hunter were traded, and even Capella not being in the lineup as often. I think Capella's a better starter than Okongwu, but yeah, I digress. I do think Okongwu is a decent starter, though, for a center position. All right, guys, let me go on the next game, and we have another back-to-back matchup, bro. The Minnesota Timberwolves against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City did not cover their original spread last night, which was, I think, much small. I think it was like 9.5. So they won outright. They won by 7. Now they are 11-point favorites, which is kind of weird. Rudy Gobert might be back for the Minnesota Timberwolves, so a little strange. I mean, the crazy thing is really OKC was blowing out Minnesota. Minnesota came back in the second quarter. If you would have bet OKC first half, you would have lost that game. But now they're just playing this back-to-back now in OKC, so that's why they're favored. Minnesota actually does better on the road than at home because they get so many points. And vice versa. I mean, OKC does a little bit better at home than on the road. I mean, on paper, bro, OKC is the better team. They should win this game. But If Rudy Gobert comes back, I actually like Minnesota at the spread. I think 11.5 points is too much. I think this game should really be a 9-point game or even an 8-point game. But yeah, 11.5 points is a lot. 12 points is a lot. Both teams are in the back-to-back. Both teams are traveling the same amount. Kind of saw it was pretty competitive in many points, except the first quarter, I guess the fourth quarter. So, again, we kind of saw this yesterday, but give me the Timberwolves plus 12. I don't think they're going to win this game, but I do think this game could be another close battle, like 8-9 point game where OKC wins. They still show they're the best team in the West, but I think there's too many points. Timberwolves system play is getting a lot of points on the road, and that's very rare because of how good they are. But in this game, I like the Timberwolves in this spot. All right, guys. Last two games on the board. Portland Trailblazers against the Utah Jazz, and there's been a lot of injuries on this game. A ton of injuries on the Jazz side. No John Collins, no Walker Kessler, no Markkanen. So they're going to be like a reduced lineup, man. Portland, they have some injuries as well. DeAndre Ayton, I think, is out for the rest of the year. Robert Williams is out. So, I don't know, man. This game should be a faster-paced game. Jazz play no defense. They play pretty fast-paced, even with all these guys out, Jordan Clarkson being out. So, Portland is 7-point favorites on the road, 6.5-point favorite. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Portland has not been playing as well. Their defense has not been as good, but, I mean, I think they are the better match or the better team. I don't know if they're 7-point favorites, maybe 5.5, but I could see a scenario where they blow them out. I mean, they already blew out the Hornets, but the Jazz are not that much better with all these guys missing in the lineup. The line already embeds all of it. But basically, do we think Portland can win by double digits? I mean, we take a look in the past. This is when they had totally different lineups and totally different scenarios, man. But I don't know. I would kind of lean with the Portland Trailblazers maybe early. But it's a lot of points, though. I don't know if they're going to cover 7 points on the road. Portland's been a much better home team so far this season. But, again, they're not the same team since, like, the injury of Ayton, a few lineup changes, and especially when they were off that big, like, 10-game win streak. But I think they get a dub here. But there is some slight value, in my opinion, with the Jazz at the spread. And, all right, guys. So about the last game on the board. I don't know if this is an exciting game or not, but we have the Charlotte Hornets against the Sacramento Kings, bro. And Charlotte, man, they got blown out last game that I showed you. Sacramento's not been playing that much better either, even with all the trades that have been done. Totals at 232, pretty high for a Charlotte game because Charlotte plays at a fairly slow pace. But with LaMelo back, they actually do play a little bit faster. But it always is surprising to me. I couldn't believe that the Charlotte Hornets played that slow of a pace because I just always think of LaMelo and how prolific he is with scoring, but I digress. I mean, Sacramento plays at one of the fastest paces in the league. Charlotte's getting 11.5 points. Look, I don't think this Sacramento team is really that good, bro. Their defense is not good. They do have shooters, bro. They have guys like Sabonis, Levine, Monk, DeRozan. I mean, they can definitely score, but their defense is not good at all, bro. Is Charlotte a good team? No, man. Charlotte's gotten absolutely crushed by every team they played. Portland, Denver. They beat LA in a weird spot. Sacramento, as you can see, not been playing good either, man. So I honestly think this is too many points, but I think this game should be a single-digit type game. If you said 8.5, 7, I could probably go with that with the Kings, but there is no way I'm laying 11 points with the Kings at home. Yes, I mean, on paper, are they a mismatch for them? Maybe so, but I mean, I do think the Charlotte Hornets, with LaMelo, with Miles Bridges playing, and even now with Nurkic on the team, I do think there's a possibility for them to keep this game competitive to a certain extent. This game can be an 8 to 9 point game, in my opinion, and there's no way I'm laying Kings minus 11, minus 11.5 at home. I don't care what the paper numbers say. I mean, their defense is terrible, and it seems like the public is kind of split on this game. Again, I like the Charlotte Hornets in this spot. Give me the Hornets plus 11.5. And that's my final game pick on the board, guys. If you've been enjoying this content, again, please hit the subscribe button. And let's go cash some tickets, baby. I'll see you on the next one.